What is up, guys? Welcome to today's live stream. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Denise. Hope you are well. Give everybody opportunity to jump in if they want to. Starting to get a little bit of movement in the markets now. So we will be having a look around a little bit. I'm liking gold back at this 1890 area, to be honest. So might take a little look at that. We've just had some data out in the past sort of couple of hours. We had some unemployment claims data, some final GDP data. GDP coming in a little bit above estimates, so coming in at 2% ahead of the 1.4% expectations. So that is quite interesting to see. So is that going to fuel a little bit of what Federal Reserve Chairman Powell has been talking about with regards to hiking rates a little bit? Hi, Vincent. I'm well, thank you. Hope you're well too. Good, thank you, Denise. Good afternoon, Caro. Yeah, been a bit of a chaos day. I'm looking after 3 dogs today, so it's been a bit of a chaos day with looking at the market. So apologies if you hear any background noises. And a gold sell, holding since Monday, trading stops. Nice. Yeah, I actually banked my move down recently. So we actually saw that GDP move push prices down into sort of the 1890 area. So I got out here. I was actually short from this candlestick. So went about 288 pips on that one. Morning, Rye Guy. Denise, I have 11 dogs. And no, you don't, surely. How'd you cope? I'm looking after 2 more than usual, and it's chaotic. Although they've been fairly sleepy today, which is good. Right, guys, let me know what you've got on your radars. Let me know what you're looking at. We're actually going to take a look at Euro Aussie in a little bit as well. That's pulling back into our 20 moving average on the 4-hour time frame. So beginning to have a little look at this one. I'm just going to delete this alert now because it's a bit pointless. So looking at that, I tried for pet food. Okay, cool. I imagine it's expensive. Right then. Yeah, let me know what you're into. We're going to be looking at across some of the markets today. A little bit of a change from Tuesday. We were still discussing that yen weakness, and that yen weakness has, I'll say, faded. It's just kind of the signs of exhaustion are now still there, aren't they? They're starting to show a little bit of exhaustion. Let me just change my outlook. So I'm looking at the dollar yen price here, and you can see that we're approaching that 145 level now. Now, this is the level where there were some rumors that the Bank of Japan may look to intervene. Now, it's quite interesting. Yesterday, there was a panel of central bank speakers, and we had the Bank of Japan, Governor 𝖢𝖣yi. We had Governor Bailey from the Bank of England. We had Federal Reserve Chairman Powell, and we also had ECB President Lagarde, all sort of on stage talking about inflation and monetary policy decisions. And yeah, it was quite interesting. And the Bank of Japan governor was still very sort of adamant that the Bank of Japan are going to continue to keep rates super low. They don't see inflation being a huge problem for them. Their problem is stemming from other central banks hiking rates. So that was an interesting comment, and he did get asked about the potential for intervention, and he kind of said, well, that's not my decision, because it comes down to the finance minister. So really interesting comments by the Bank of Japan governor, because I was expecting maybe him to talk about intervening at some point. I think they will intervene. Obviously, we're coming into the levels where they've intervened before in the past, so it makes sense that they will intervene at similar levels. So it's just whether that will come through. Now, like I said, at the moment, the past sort of 2 to 3 days since we last spoke was about the yen weakening. It's just kind of moved sideways. I think if we look at the hourly here on dollar yen, for instance, we've just kind of gone sideways in this area. Let me just bring up a pen tool real quick. So this kind of action here. Now, we had a little bit of a boost out most recently. Prices then starting to come back a little bit. Made it to around about the 144.90s. Started to see a little bit of selling coming into play. But is that going to be the fuel that changes the mood sentiment here? I still like the idea of yen weakness. I have been monitoring CAD yen for an opportunity, but this market has literally just gone sideways. We were talking about maybe looking at entries at the 109 spot 15s. Price has just sort of, well, if you did get in that position there, we're just about coming back to break even now. So yeah, it wasn't the best area. I like the area down at the 108s again, 108 spot 60s. So yeah, that was a nice little area to look for some longs from as well. But we may get a little bit of a boost up. We are coming into month end now. I'm expecting some kind of drive end of quarter as well. Volatility should be high. Now, that's why I'm a little bit confused as to almost why we've gone sideways for the past couple of days. It's kind of not showing that volatility that I expected for month end and quarter end, but we shall see what happens to the prices here. Now, CAD yen is still like up to that 110 handle, so that's what I'm looking to kind of target here. Obviously, I'm watching dollar yen very closely because I've got 145 here. I probably should set an alert at the 145, to be honest. I want to know that if price gets there, what happens basically, because obviously those rumors of the 145 have been circling. So I don't want to necessarily be in yen positions at 145, even though price could spike through it and then start to change like we had last time when we came into this level. If I go back to that daily chart, you can see here we were like floating around the 145, just below it. Then we had the spike in here. We then traded a little bit higher again before seeing that other intervention. So just because they intervene doesn't mean price is going to drop. That we can see straight away anyway. So yeah, price still could head up towards the 151 spot 50s. So we've still got those contrasted in monetary policies, which usually creates that kind of driving factor. So you just have to be aware of that as well. Kara, you short euro Aussie, cool. Hi, Jesserin, hope you're well. Wondering if Japan has a sell stop at 145. Yeah, have a big sell limit order. Right, guys, looking at pound yen, RSI is oversold and there is divergence. Let's have a look. What time frame are you looking at that, Rago? And Kara's looking for euro Oz to 1632. Yeah, 1632 makes sense. 163.20. Well, I quite like the 163.50 or the 163.95. You've got this kind of pause in here, which is something I'm just keeping my eyes on. I quite like euro Oz up to 166.75. So still looking for that potential push in here. Let me just zoom over a little bit. We've broken out of this bearish channel. We're trading higher. We've come into the 165, which is proven to be a little bit of a sticking point, but I'm looking for a bit of a breakthrough that. Looking for the 166.75. So Just monitoring where that could come into play. Like these highs through here, like I said, 163.50. The only place I can see really, if I go to an hourly chart, there is the highs through here as well, where price is kind of at now. So there might be a little bit of support through there. But we shall see. 163.50 is somewhere that I like a lot for price to come back into. Right, guys, looking at the daily chart on pound yen. Let me just bring in my RSI. Show it for the daily. Okay, yeah, I can see that starting to get divergence from a daily time frame perspective. It's just fundamentally still, the yen is still technically weak. They could intervene and drive dollar yen down, and the market says thanks for the pullback. Yeah, absolutely. If anything, that's probably what the market is hoping for, right? It's hoping for an intervention at 145. It's hoping for a 142 at least. And then, you know, we probably see the sort of dollar yen train continue to the upside. So, I mean, if price came down to 142, I'd definitely be interested. I would definitely be interested. It's just whether we get that or not is the thing that we're watching for at the moment. Let's go have a quick look at cable. I was looking for longs on cable, but I was talking about longs above 127.60. Didn't get that in the end. Dollar started to strengthen. Price just fell away. We broke back below 126.50 as well. So it wasn't anything to really jump about, really. You know, weekly chart. And I do take a lot of my analysis from a weekly chart. Now, we did have a bearish close the week prior. So usually when that happens, I am a little bit more bearish than I am bullish. But, you know, we are still technically in an upward trend. We was at the one spot 26.50 support. So I was looking just to see if price would start to find some support there. And I was right in waiting because price didn't trade towards the 1.3, which is where we're ultimately looking for price to go to. But what we may see now is another pullback down, maybe into this trend line support. Got a couple of long-term trend line supports rocking through here. And I can just add another one actually from this low here into these lows. So a bit of a tighter trend line there. So that's the low around about the 5th of March, lows around about the 28th of May. You know, if price comes down a little bit lower, perhaps into this zone. So 125.50 really. 125.50, you've got multiple confluences there. You've got a horizontal area resistant support, trend line support as well. That could be an interesting area to see a little bit of buying coming back in for cable. But again, I've just been monitoring that weekly chart. If price starts to show us that weekly bullishness, then that's when I really like to jump on this, especially because we're in that upward trend at the moment. We just got to see how the dollar starts to take things. Now, we are breaking above 103s, which is where I really want to be for dollar strength. I don't really trust the dollar strength until we're above 103s quite comfortably, really. Again, reason being is, you know, if we look at it from a weekly perspective, you know, it's a little bit sideways. We have seen the dollar sort of act poorly to data, but we're starting to get positive data again. You know, GDP going up isn't great. We've seen unemployment claims come down, which is a positive for the US dollar at the moment. That's going to be a driving factor for the Fed to start hiking rates again in the next meeting. So, you know, are market participants starting to jump on that sort of move that the Fed could hike again? And is that why we're seeing that US dollar strength coming into the markets? Hi, Adlink Media. Hope you're well. We were meant to be streaming on LinkedIn as well, guys, but the link for LinkedIn is just broken for some reason. So if you are from LinkedIn, that's the reason why. 103.5 was the yearly open for the Dixie, says Denise. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe we'll see price above that again. You know, if price can trade back above that, would be nice, wouldn't it? Let's have a quick look at how the monthly shapes up. Not really getting much from it at the moment. Yeah. Carry hard to find good setups today. I would agree. I would agree. There is one market that I did like the look of, which was Aussie Swiss potentially for some further downside. Actually shorted Aussie Swiss back up here at 59.90. I shorted, which was about here. So I went short in here. I bounced about 80 pips of profit on this one this morning as price was coming down. So looking to maybe jump back in on this one. And that's just because of we've seen Oz weakness recently. So I quite like the opportunity maybe to see that continue. Let me just load up the area here. So really thinking, can Aussie Swiss just dip down into this sort of area here, which is around about the 58.70s, 58.75. So I'll go show you the higher time frame in a second. If I go to the weekly chart, you can see that we're kind of trading back down towards these lows, that 58.75. We've also got lows beyond that at the 56.95, or we could round that up to the 57s all the way back here. So, you know, that's a 230 pip drop from where we are at the moment. It's just got to see price try and tackle through these lows. And if we kind of look at it from a bigger picture point of view, we are sort of, you know, in that mode of bearish, big bearish channel, essentially. Market's in a downward trend, looking to see if that downward trend can extend down into these lows in here. So I'm just basically looking for the continuation of that. So looking at the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we've crossed over on our averages. We're making lower lows and lower highs. You know, can this be something that continues down into these lows here? Oh, sorry to hear that, Denise. I hope everything goes well. I hope she's safe and well. See you on Tuesday. More important things than trading. More important things than trading. Give some love in the chat to Denise. Denise has been great for our streams. Great subscriber. We'll take a little look at Denise's Bitcoin call in a bit as well. Got a sort of downward trend line coming through here as well. So maybe around about this 59.60 area, 59, 57s could be where we start to see a little bit of resistance coming in for Aussie Swiss. You know, you've got that nice sort of downward trend progression coming in. You know, if we can get some kind of opportunity there, it might be worth having a little look at. The reason why I got short last time was not only did we have the resistance coming into play here, we had the 20 and 50 in line, price came below the RSI, but I basically waited for that to happen before continuation. So might try and see if we get something here again, close back below the 50 on the RSI, and it could give us an opportunity to get short again. That could give us a nice 60 pip target. May get away with a bit of a 40 pip stop loss. So yeah, we'll see how that one performs in here. All right, guys, let's have a look at some other charts of interest then. So Euro Aussie, still one to watch as well. We did talk about Euro Swiss, didn't we? But that one hasn't really come to anything. Gold is where I think we could be watching for a little bit of action as well at the minute. I know we've spoken about gold a lot recently. Depends on whether that dollar strength really does come back into the market. But I'm now starting to watch the weekly time frame because, you know, if I zoom out, although we are in the overall sort of trading range, you know, technically we are making higher highs and higher lows here. So is this an area where gold could start to push back higher? You know, 1890, a little bit of support in zone through here. The only way I would ever get involved with gold long, though, at the moment is that, you know, we get some kind of bullish weekly close, for instance, and then we go down to our 4-hour time frame and we can see that we've had the crossover, prices come back in, and we're respecting the averages. That's the only way I'm going to get involved with gold long at the moment, because we're still technically short here, although prices kind of dipped into that 18. Then we got to the low of 1892.7 before seeing quite a significant spike, but that's news driven, so you know we need to wait there. In theory, if we're thinking about it, that news driven price action there could lead to the Fed hiking rates further, and then on the other hand, we've got the potential for price to continue basically to the downside for gold if dollar is going to continue to get stronger. So potential here for gold. I'm just going to sit and wait on it though. I'm going to wait to see what happens before we start getting anything there. I did have a little look at the VIX index. Although the VIX index is quite low, we are starting to see a little bit of positivity around the VIX, and that's something I'd want to see if we were to look for some things like yen strength and things like that. High code it. Yeah, carry. Yeah, life's tough, man. Yeah, absolutely. There's more to life than trading, definitely. Family first. Just hopped in. Can we validate HNS euro dollar? Let's have a quick look at it. You can try. I don't like the look of it, to be honest, because I just feel like you got the higher high, which is there. If this hadn't had, you know, if that found support here and we traded back to the area there, I'd be a lot more sort of interested in this. At the moment, though, I'm really not interested in that, because I just think it's all over the place. We've got the kind of higher high, lower low, lower high, and now supporting area. So just from a personal point of view, I don't like the look of that, to be honest. Obviously, you know, I could be wrong and it could break and it could continue to the downside. So, you know, and then I look like an idiot. But, you know, if price trades through that low, I'd be a lot more confident that this is going to complete, that this could potentially be that head and shoulders, and that we are starting to see that little bit of downside pressure on euro dollar. I just don't see, you know, the market's close to some big levels at the moment, and that's why I thought we'd get some bigger moves, to be honest, coming into the end of the month and end of the quarter. I thought we'd get some bigger drives up into these big levels and see some turnarounds coming into next month, but haven't had that influence at all. Dollar Swiss long. I'm not on dollar Swiss, so let me get dollar Swiss chart up, and we can have a little breakdown of that one. Oh, wrong one. I mean, immediately I'm looking at this H1 chart thinking, Carey, how have you got long dollar Swiss? Now, a lot of my trading involves strength and weakness, swing trading, you know, especially on these type of markets. So, you know, I'm very much looking at 1 hour, 4 hour time frames. in line with the sort of weekly. And to me, this isn't anywhere. If anything, we've got this kind of range. I mean, dollar Swiss loves to work within little ranges. You know, we kind of find this area over here, you know, in a little range, and then it breaks out, comes back down, another little range going on. So yeah, dollar Swiss loves to work within little ranges before breaking out. So I'd rather wait for a breakout here. You know, can we get a breakout, continuation, maybe back up to the 91s? So yeah, for me as a swing trader, look, if I wanted to be long and I had strong confidence that we're going to go long, then, you know, I'm looking at the range low for a long, basically, down back through here, because that's where the support is. If price breaks, then great. You know, it offers a different type of alternative entry. But at the moment, I'm not gonna trade that range in there. To sharing, after yesterday's central bank meeting, I thought everything except the yen would get stronger, but that doesn't seem to be the case. No, it doesn't, does it? Yeah, I was listening to it yesterday, and I did think that some of the comments they were making was kind of backing up what they were been talking about with regards to hiking rates further. Bank of Japan was very, you know, Governor Ueda was very dovish, stuck to his guns in terms of not hiking rates. Sees inflation around 2%. So yeah, I thought the same. I thought that would give the yen a little bit of weakness, but it's just been going sideways. So whether, you know, all the traders that were going to push the markets for the end of quarter, end of month have just gone away already. You know, maybe they've took an early break, or we're just waiting for some kind of catalyst to drive prices again. Now that could be, we do have a little bit of data coming out tomorrow. We've got the core PCE index coming out tomorrow. We do have some of the detail, but it's just, you know, a lot of it's minor details, although we do have some core CPI out of Europe as well. And that's where they said everything was sticky, wasn't it? The core CPI is what's sticky at the moment. So yeah, it's a very interesting market currently, and there's not a lot going on, to be honest. There really isn't. Let's have a quick flashback to Euro Aussie. So Aussie's starting to get a little bit stronger here, coming in towards the end of the session. What's that, end of the session? End of the UK session anyway. Which is interesting to see, considering Aussie's been fairly weak for some time. So we'll see if we can get a reaction at this 64 maybe. Otherwise, we're coming down to 63.50s, which is our other area of interest. A quick look at pound yen. We've got like some weekly bullish candles from the 85.50, and yeah, not really seeing anything that's too much unless we look for an early entry on the hourly. But I think the only thing we'd look for is a target back up in this zone. What could be driving prices up? I don't know if there was any positive China data overnight. I must, or there was. I think there was some Oz data actually. I might be making that up. No, we had Oz retail sales overnight, 0.7%, up from 0%. So that was quite positive. And that was about 2:30 a.m. And we've seen Aussie pretty much be a little bit stronger overnight. So might just be that time where, you know, the market's been very bearish. Aussie, we're just starting to see a little bit of a pullback. You know, it might just be a little bit of a pullback before continuation starts to go. Seeing the same across the board, really, for any kind of Aussie pair. But, you know, that gives me potentially an opportunity to look at a short. So, you know, Aussie Swiss, for instance, wouldn't mind looking for a short here. Euro Oz looking for the long. So I'm not too fussed about the pullback. It's quite welcomed, actually. Nice little consolidation break up here as well on Aussie Swiss. So yeah, starting to see some stock markets rising, although the FTSE is taking a little bit of a move down at the moment. Let's go check out Bitcoin. It's just hovering, I think. Just down through here. 30,000 area. And other than that, yeah, alarm on. Do you have an exit for a breach? What currency pair are we talking about there? Sorry, Caro. Oh, the dogs are up. Let me know what currency pair you're on about there, Caro, and we'll have a little look into that one. Yeah, but like I said, there's not really much going on, is there? I think we've got gold obviously finding support down at the 1890 area. We've got... Oh, apologies for that. The dog's going mental. Right, apologies if you heard all of that. But yeah, so any other markets that were interesting, guys? CAD Yen's starting to actually have a little bit of a boost up, which is nice because I was looking for opportunities into this market. So looking for this one to extend up to the 101.10 level. So we'll see if the dogs don't seem to be happy at the market, even though they don't usually bark, which is unusual. But obviously, I heard something they don't like. Pound yen not doing much either. Yeah, guys, a bit of a slow one today. Bit of a slow one. We'll see if anything comes in at the end of the month tomorrow. I'll jump on and do a little bit of an end of month analysis, but we'll see. We'll see if anything can happen and drive in tomorrow. Hi, Caleb. Any questions before I call it a day here? I've had a decent week, to be fair, but we're just looking to see if that yen weakness will continue in the short term. Got some alerts set at 145. We'll see a little bit. Yeah, pullback. Do I close trades manually sometimes? Yeah, I'd say a majority of my trades are closed manually. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the times I close partials. So, you know, what I mean by that is if price is in an area where I feel it could start to turn, I'll take partial profits. And then I'll just look for opportunities to ride that wave, and I'll just trail the stops. And if I'm lucky enough, I'll continue with the trade. You know, a lot of the times my trading stop gets hit. So, yeah. I might do a webinar on journaling and how you can kind of do a cool little journal. So I might do a webinar on that one day. Any just to show, I don't have any live positions in at the moment. The only last one I had was gold short, and that was from here, stop loss above the highs. And my target was 1890, but this is one of those where I close manually because we come into the zone after news. So on the news, ended up taking a position there. But if you were looking for any kind of, sort of, when you say, do you have an exit for a breach? I'm kind of taking that in a way as if it's going the opposite way to what you're looking at. So, for instance, here, and this is where trailing stops can come in quite handy, because what you might be looking for is, if I was short gold around that area there with stops above the highs, and if price was continuing to trade lower, then, I don't really want price starting to make higher highs, right? I want it to continue to make lower lows and lower highs, right? So I would probably be trailing my stop just above these recent highs that formed, because if price then breaches this area here, what's likelihood of your trade sort of continuing to the downside? It might be very low. And again, this is where journaling could come into things, actually, because you want to be able to track your trades. And I think a lot of people probably track their trades a little bit wrong. And this is only something that I've learned very, very recently. And it's something that I've started to kind of change on my own. So, but yeah, I'll show you. It's pretty cool. It's color coded, and it just basically goes through sort of your positioning. Did you get in the trade? Was it triggered? How I felt when it was triggered? What did I do to manage that position? Did I trail stops? What happened if I trailed stops? Did I get stopped? If I got stopped, did it continue? Because you want to build this big database to be able to just perform better on the next trade, right? And that's what we could probably look into. So I'll pencil that in for another time. And yeah, guys, I will probably jump back on next week. But I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all had a great session. I hope you all had a great trading week as well. Bit of a slow one, but we'll see if that can change in the next day or so. We'll be watching dollar yen up at that 145. I'll just bring it back on the screen. We'll see if we can get there for one, and two, we'll see what happens. So thanks for joining me this week. Thanks for all your comments and questions as usual. If you could leave the stream a like, that would be really helpful to me. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, please. It really, really helps the channel grow. And yeah, thank you all for coming. Thanks, Caleb. Thanks, Adrian. Thanks, Guy, Carrie, to Sharon. Anyone who's commented, thank you, Denise, as well. If you're watching this later, I hope your granddaughter is all okay. Thanks, Cody, for joining me today. Thanks, Vincent. And yeah, cheers, guys. I will speak to you next week.